Hi, we're going to do some stenciling today. I'm going to show you how to do some acetate stencils first. There's going to be several different processes that we're going to show you to making stencils to doing for tattooing. This is the acetate we're going to be using today. First I'm going to show you some of the things that are used for making acetate stencils. This is a stencil cutter. When you purchase them, the needles are not adjusted to what you need, so you have to adjust properly to get the right markings in the acetate itself. About like so. And you should actually take this and snug this up, because hand tightening will not be enough to secure that needle in place. Okay, we'll do this one here too. As you see, these are two different types. Which one is going to be more comfortable for your hand? That's an individual taste. Other type for cutting the acetate stencils is the electric with a diamond tip. We took a tracing of a gentleman that has a hand-picked tattoo that we're going to do some cover-up work on later on in the videotape. What I have done is I've had him pick out a design that he would like to cover this with, which was this particular design here, eliminating the skull in the center. Black is generally your only color that will cover for a hand-picked tattoo. So what we did was we got a tracing off of him, and then we took it and we put it in the design like this, so we know where we're going before we get there. Now, if you were to make a paper stencil, which we will get into later on, unfortunately, using a paper stencil, if you place this on the skin, you would not be able to see where your line work was to make your cover-up go proper. So what we're going to do is, I've already done a tracing of this already ahead of time, taking out the skull, and in little tiny spots here I actually drew it just a tiny bit bigger. We're going to do a placement on this because we're not sure exactly which way is going to work best for Jim on this. We may take the design and go this way, or we may take it and we may take the design and put it going this way. That won't be determined until the time comes for the actual cover-up. But we do know that this design is the proper design. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take the acetate, and we're going to take the acetate and we're going to place it like this so we can see about how much acetate we're going to use on this. So we're going to take and we're going to cut ourselves out a square. This is a light board. This will enable you to see a design once you turn it upside down, because in order to do this to come out right when you put it on, Jim, you have to take the design. This is the front side of the tracing here, so we have to take it and actually turn it upside down. We're going to tape the edges on this so it doesn't move. Remember, trace side down, because when you flip it over on a hand-cut stencil, it'll be right side up. Now that our design is down, we're going to take our acetate. We're going to put our acetate on the top, like so. Use the tape. We're going to tape each one of the corners because we don't want any movement in the acetate itself. Very important. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to use an acetate stencil cutter itself. Again, a lot of it has to do with positioning, like you do when you tattoo. If you'll notice where my hand is positioned, it's positioned a lot like I do when I tattoo. But Your hands are going to sit just like they do on the skin for tattooing, but you're actually going to use your other hand for a guidance and to stabilize yourself as you're working. Now when you're pressing, if you look at the angle that I have the needle, I'm not straight up and down. I'm not way down. I'm primarily at probably about a 45-degree angle coming up. So I'm going to cut, and you're cutting towards yourself, not away, because if you go away, you will not have control of the needle. Just a little bit of pressure, and if you look, my right hand is actually doing the guiding, but my left hand is applying the pressure. Why I said to you it's so important to get the right length of needle sticking out here, because if you had too short, you won't be able to control the pressure. And you'll actually, I'll show you if you went too deep. What it does is it scars the other side of the stencil, and the indentation is too big. It's kind of a trial and error with the stencil cutter itself to find what feels good for you. Now these are generally only used for single use, so you would make this for one customer and one customer only. You should properly clean this, even though it hasn't been used, by washing with an antibacterial soap and drying. You're also going to use what they call stencil powder. You should put that in a regular type of shaker, and I will show you about using that after. So the actual stencil will be ready to apply to the skin. It will actually leave a black stencil print on the skin to follow. You'll notice that your hand will get tired. You'll be surprised. It takes a while to build up where you can spend some time doing these, but you don't use that many of them, but it's nice to know that you know how to do it, and when a job comes with they are required to have one, you will be able to do it. I'm not going to actually use the other stencil cutter here, the one type that's just like this, but it's in a different size and a different shape. But I will use the electric just to let you see the difference. I actually like to take the stencil and kind of move it up so I can check it first before we actually remove it off the paper. Is if you take it and you raise it and you do this with it, so you can actually see where your lines are to make sure that you didn't miss any. Now I'm going to leave this little piece down here for just a minute, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of the electric stencil cutter just to let you see that it does work very well. Again, it's personal preference. Sometimes you have to adjust the speed on these. They're a bit on the noisy side sometimes. They don't have to be running that fast in order to cut an accurate stencil. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to gear this so it cuts the right stencil, and then I'm going to do just a little bit of work over here.